Welcome back to Training Camp Tonight, powered by Ford. Like I mentioned at the top of the show, Denver's defense was highly impressive today. From the pressure that we saw from Von Miller to the intensity of the DBs, it is safe to say Denver's defense won the day. With a little bit more on how impressive Denver's D really was, here's Ryan Edwards and Benjamin Allbright.
All right, Benjamin, let's just go ahead and talk about day 4 of Broncos training camp. It's been a little bit back and forth, I'd say, most days out there. There are some reps that the offense wins, some reps the defense wins. Today, I'd absolutely characterize it. The defense won the day.
Yeah, the defense definitely did. And it was a 1v1s matchup, too. It wasn't a 2 versus 1s or anything like that. It was straight up head-on-head, and the defense won. You do want to see some back and forth like that. You don't want one unit dominating the other the entirety of camp, because then it suggests that they are unequally matched.
But it was more than just defensive pressure, too. There was miscues on the offense. There was bad throw interceptions. Drew Lock threw a lollipop up to Kareem Jackson in the early 7-on-7 period, the very first throw. Driscoll had a couple of pretty awful interceptions in there. And then you had Phillip Lindsay with an uncharacteristic fumble. You had Jeudy with a drop late in red zone. Today just was an out-of-sync day, it felt like, for the offense.
Yeah, maybe Vic needs to turn his eyes over there to the offense and give them the same message he gave the defense yesterday. The Drew Lock interception on the deep out, that ball just hung on him. I don't know if that was him. I don't know what that was, but that ball just hung up on him, and you can't do that in the pros. Kareem Jackson easily went out there and lunched on it. So, I think that it was a bad day overall for the offense. There were some bright spots here or there, but mostly bad day for the offense, and I can't wait to see the bounce back.
On the offensive line, you saw a series in there where, boy, on the right side, now understanding Von Miller is who he is, and he is an elite athlete, and he has had a good camp so far. We maybe don't give him enough time on the air as we should because he is that good. But, boy, he really had a day against Elijah Wilkinson during at least one period of it.
Yeah, Wilkinson's still dealing with some issues with that foot. He's not 100%. And then, oh, by the way, you've got the challenge today of going up against the preeminent pass rusher of the last 10 years in the NFL and practice every rep. That's probably a losing proposition any way you slice it. I'm not going to hold that too much against Elijah, but it does start to raise those warning flags when you go 3 straight plays on what would have probably been strip sacks. 2 of those were on the right side, 1 on the left, and then they had some trouble up the middle today as well. So the protection really was a problem.
Yeah, we'll have a couple of nice moments in the offense. We will get to that here in a second. It wasn't all bad, but it was just mostly on the defense. But I wanted to highlight Devonte Bose, who ended up getting an interception today. That's his second to camp. He really actually had a chance at a third one yesterday. Devonte Bose, we came into this. You talked about it quite a bit on Broncos Country tonight. We felt like he might have the inside track to that third cornerback spot in nickel, the guy starting outside.
Yeah, he's a guy who understands and knows the scheme because he's played in it for years previously with Vic and Ed, and he's got great ball skills on top of it, so that just is usually a good combination for camp, especially if you're not going to get a chance to play any preseason games and it's all practice and practice reps. So I think Bosby's no worse than the dime corner at this point. Could be in the conversation for the nickel. They've been really trying to get Yadam a bunch of reps, and I thought he had perhaps his best day today.
Well, and I do want to highlight that Yadam versus Sutton was kind of the matchup to watch, and Yadam did win a couple of those. It didn't have to have any penalties. They had some kind of hand fighting on one of the breakups, and another one he was in great coverage. So when and this is what we talked about a ton. When you're Yadam and you're out there on the field, opposing quarterbacks are going to be looking at you. You might get matched up against a 1 sometimes. You're going to have to win sometimes.
Well, yeah, and this goes back to last year. The tape on Yadam was, hey, that's the guy. That's the guy we go after. And so that tape still exists. That's the last thing you've put down on film, and so that's what opposing offensive coordinators are going to do right now. They're going to look at this and say, well, you got Bouye, they got Callahan, but they got this guy everybody picked on last year. We're going to pick on him until we can't. So for Yadam, he does have to take that leap. He does have to step up, and he has to become a guy that offensive coordinators come into a game saying we're going to pick on him, and they come out of a game saying, man, we had the wrong game plan.
Okay, so let's talk about a couple of nice things with the offense. Once again, Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler during the 7-on-7 period. Granted, it was against the 2s, but during the 7-on-7 period, you got to see some of that speed, and both of them showed off big time.
Well, Jerry Jeudy against the 2s is just unfair. The athleticism, the precision route running, the hands, it's just not fair. I understand what they're doing and all that kind of stuff, but it looks like the wide receiver 1 grouping or the starting wide receiver 1 grouping is going to wind up being Sutton, Patrick, and Jerry Jeudy. And Judy's just getting extra reps with the 2s right now, which is good for him. He needs that extra reps. He needs to understand the concepts of the offense, the inside and out, and it's good that they can get him reps with both. But it's pretty clear who the first group of receivers are at this point. So I thought Jeudy did pretty well. Other than that drop there at the end, uncharacteristic drop from Jerry Jeudy in the red zone, a ball that was Got a little bit of heat, a little bit of mustard on it, but he still should have caught that, from 5-6 yards away and been a touchdown.
Agreed. And during that 7-on-7 period, kind of a deep cross kind of corner route where he ended up catching it and just, kind of blowing by. And then KJ Hamler, the very next play, was coming on a shallow. Right. And just once he got a step, he was kind of gone. So that was some positives. Melvin Gordon had a nice one-hand catch in
a couple of them, actually. Melvin Gordon's hands are underrated. Melvin Gordon as a receiver, and not just on the swing pass. I'm talking about getting up, get vertical down the field, tracking the ball in the air. He did a great job with Alexander Johnson all over him, using the body to box out, position on the sideline, toe tap, make sure he secured it with one hand and then brought it in. I thought that was a quintessential play, and Phil Lindsay could taking a page out of there because Phil has struggled to track the ball in the air.
Right, and Phil had a drop today, a pretty bad one in the flat. But yeah, Melvin Gordon, overall, that's something that you knew you were going to be able to get with his play. Cortland Sutton during red zone had a nice touchdown in the back of the end zone. Again, one of the things that I liked about it, there was a lot of jawing back and forth with the offense and defense either way. So it wasn't like the offense was tucking their tail. And we've seen that in years past where the offense was a little bit like, okay, well, the defense is the whole mantra of this team. We have to take a step back. But that wasn't the case today.
No, over the last couple of years, we've affectionately called the Denver Broncos offense the Denver Turtle offense because they kind of hunkered down in their shell a little bit when they get when somebody comes and tries to smack them around. I think that's a snapping turtle now because they'll snap back a little bit. We saw that today.
Well said. For more coverage with Broncos Country tonight, make sure you check us out weeknights from 7 to 11 p.m. on KOA News Radio. Now back to you, Alexis.
Well, in addition to tuning in to Ryan and Ben, be sure to join us at denverbroncos.com for the best content from the UC Health Training Center. Also, be sure to tune in tomorrow morning at 9:15 to Training Camp Live, powered by Ford. The Hall of Famer Steve Atwater will be joined by none other than Alfred Williams. And also, catch us tomorrow night again at 6:30 for another recap of the day. It'll be Training Camp tonight, 6:30 tomorrow night. I'll see you then.